I'm Neil. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the case manager at Inside Out, so kind of the point of contact for a lot of our members in our community. For those of you that aren't familiar with Inside Out, we work with people re-entering the community after incarceration. A lot of the people that we work with obviously are coming directly out of either prison or jail, but we do work with basically anybody that's been impacted by the criminal legal system. And what I think makes us unique is kind of stuff like this where we don't just provide a service, but we try and create a community and put people in connection with not only the community at large, but with each other as much as possible to provide support and understanding to each other, and to raise awareness about the struggles that people face re-entering the community.
So this is me over here, this wall section.
Hold it a little higher.
I just want to say, art has kind of been in my life for as long as I can remember. It kind of, started off with my mom. She's always been an artist. She's always done watercolor painting and sketching, and she was just always kind of a big influence as far as that goes. Like, she was always the one dragging me to all the art museums and everywhere else, here and abroad. For my graduation present from high school, she took me to France and Italy for 2 weeks. So I got to go to the Louvre for a day, which was just incredible. Like, I saw maybe an eighth of it, in a day, because it's just so massive. I got to go to see all the Michelangelo stuff in Rome and in Florence, and that was just amazing. The Sistine Chapel just blows your mind. I mean, it's actually smaller than I thought it would. Just from the pictures I've seen, it looked a lot bigger, but you walked in and you still just blows your mind. And then, my dad's side as well. My dad he's a woodworker, has been his whole life. So, that's kind of a whole other art form in itself, from, he's done everything from building houses and decks and everything else to just like, I think 10 years ago, he did a Frank Lloyd Wright piece that a woman wanted recreated. She just found a picture of it in a magazine and said, "Can you do that?" And he said, "Yeah, sure, I can do that." And it's like a big, huge piece, and it's beautiful. He does all kinds of stuff. Like, I remember when I was younger, he used to have his little Dremel tool kit, and he would make faces into little chunks of wood, and just random stuff like that all over the house, and little weird, odd pieces of wood that look really weird and fun. But so I just basically started drawing about 6 years ago. I started drawing when I was in prison, just basically as a means to keep my brain healthy and to pass the time and to be able to, just do something positive. It was also a really good way. Most of these up here are things that I sent out to my family or friends. It's the only gifts that I could give, so I'm not going to send them a tube of toothpaste for Christmas, so these are all cards that I sent my dad. And this is my dad and my mom, both when they were about 20 years old. But one of my dad was taken right here, somewhere in a back alley of Iowa City, somewhere. That was a band picture, actually. He was in a band. But, pretty much everything up there, except for Anthony Bourdain, was done in prison.
I thought I recognized you. How'd you get him to pose for you?
Well, that came out of a picture, so. Pretty much all that I do, I copy things. I draw what I see. With my process, I'm very technical. I just jumped right into the technical part of it. Like, I didn't start sketching. I just started doing that. I use a ruler. Very, very religiously. That's how I can get the precise, images. mean, I'm measuring down to millimeters, basically on most of these. So, and you know, it was just an escape to get me out of my cell, you know, in my head, basically, just to keep me healthy and positive. And you know, I just somehow discovered that I'm actually have a natural talent for it, I guess. And it's been really nice with the reception here the other night. Was incredible. Like, you know, I mean, you always hear your family and friends all tell you that you're so good and everything, but having random strangers come up to you and tell you how fantastic your art is, it's a really good feeling. So. Like I said, art's always pretty much been in my life, in the background, from one form or another. It's probably why I started cooking for a living. I've been cooking for almost 30 years now. Well, minus 6.5 years in prison. Actually, I cooked in there too. So. And you know, I mean, cooking is another art form in itself. You know, I mean, I make the best, most beautiful food that I possibly can, because your eyes eat the food first. You know, you know, and since I started drawing, I definitely have been looking at life a little bit differently. Just, I mean, you start to notice things like shading and shadows and light, just in looking at everything. You know, I mean, you start to, look at the shading on that. You know, like, I wonder how I could do that on a piece of paper or something. You know, and you know, just looking at things with different perspective. And you know, there's just beauty in everything, beauty in every landscape. You know, life is art, pretty much. So that's about what I got.
These are my pieces here. This one, this one, this one, and that one. I guess my history is I've been incarcerated 25 years, and while doing time, I came up with the idea of an art exhibit that basically highlighted personal, political, and different aspects of doing time, and somehow made it through 25 years of incarceration and came out and met some really awesome people. And now we're doing a theater presentation on a script that I wrote that's based off of some of my pieces, which the press release actually came out yesterday, and it'll be at the James March 24th, 25th, and 26th. So I worked with Ron Clark and Jody Hovland, the founders of Riverside Theater, and it's pretty special. I did the writing, but they're the theater people, and I let them do their thing, and it's pretty cool.
What's the name of the show?
Undoing Time.
Doing time.
Undoing Time.
Undoing. Okay.
Titled by Jody Hovland. Everybody has a fingerprint on it, and there's a lot of love, and there's a lot of special things happening that we're looking forward to everybody being a part of. And starting today, here we are. I'm showing some art after all those years, and it feels pretty good. And I guess part of what makes my art what it is that I tell stories with my art. And like this particular story, it started out with just the apples. And that's how I prayed for my mom in prison. I would carve the word mom into an apple and like have a prayer for her and think about her and hope she's okay. And so that was the central part of that. But as usual, it morphed into something other than what I expected. And it turned into where prayers go. Because when I realized that I was showing a prayer, I didn't want to exclude any religions or anything. So, and that required me to kind of morph some religions together, and I hope they like it or not. But that's what it is. And this is basically like the last little piece of Eden. And these are, this is the west and east, and this is where this confluence comes together of these tiers of all the hurt people in the world. It's just eating away this last little piece of paradise, and hopefully it doesn't eat it all the way. But this piece is actually about a guy that I did time with in Texas, and he was mentally ill, had no business being incarcerated. And it bothered me because he was basically being tortured. I mean, just simple things like people slamming a domino would just cause him the most horrible reactions. And I'd see it and it would just, man, it stuck with me for so long. It's just a ghost that stuck with me. And so when I did this piece, it was just something that had been in my head a long time, and I finally got it out. And when I did, it was more therapeutic than I would have thought, because in doing it, it was a prayer for him and hoping that he's okay, because he would have his medication taken away from him because people would just give him a shot of coffee and take it, so he was never medicated. And he had disheveled hair, and he was just this, it's just horrible. And so I put him in a Buddha pose, so it shows that he's gained his peace and confidence. And I gave him, and plus he has a coffee cup that always has coffee in it, so he doesn't have to give his medication away. But that's been what's really been the driving force into what's been going on, and the people I've been working with is it's really the stories that make them what they are, and it just so happens I can do art too. And to speak to the ability to do art, that's why I brought this hat. This is basically how I started my adult art career in prison. I did leather work. And when doing it, I always wanted to make it look like a machine did it. I wanted the lines and everything to be so precise that you couldn't tell unless you really got up and looked at it. So that's where I really started honing my skill as an artist. And then before I got out, I did 23 pieces, and I wrote a book. And those are the things that really caught people by surprise. I did a show online with Justice Arts Coalition, and a man, Bruce Levitt from Cornell University, was in attendance. And I guess I'm called the Texas storyteller. Who knew, But I get it, 25 years, and like I said, I had the frame of mind to see what was going on and say, you know what, I'm going to document this, because these people think they're going to get away with it. Some of it was personal, it's just like, okay, you got over, but guess what, man, I'm going to expose you one day for what you did. You're not going to hurt somebody I love and care for and just get away with it. That's where it really became more than just an art exhibit, when I realized that I can use this art to bring justice to people that deserve it. And then it's grown into way more than that. And having said that, who are we going to next?
Well, do any people have any questions?
Oh, yeah.
You're going to talk about this piece.
Ma'am?
This piece.
This piece?
Yeah.
Oh, this is actually my first oil painting. I wanted to step it up because this is a message to my daughter. I got out in 2018, and I had a baby girl, and things didn't go well. There's a lot of things I can't talk about, but I just wanted to make sure that if anything ever happened to me, she knew that it was not her fault, because I know how kids are. They internalize things and they think that they did something wrong. And she won't have to wonder. This tells a story. I mean, and plus it tells a story of addiction and just how ugly it can be. In a lot of my pieces, like in this one, there's a rabbit. There's other pieces. My daughter is represented by a rabbit. That's why. And in this particular piece, I represented as a white rabbit. so she's innocent. And plus, basically, it's just letting her know why she's growing up without a mom. And tells how the story of how ugly addiction can be. And I hope people can learn from that and avoid it.
How was work? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I mean, this is just gorgeous.
Thank you. I put my heart and soul into it. Like I said, it's a message to my daughter. I've done a lot of graphic art with color pencils and stuff up to that point. But when I took that endeavor on, knowing the importance of it, it had to be more above and beyond. And that's exactly why I picked up oils. And I actually like them.
Well,
I enjoy
I
oils.
think they like you.
And like I said, this is where it all started. And this is acrylics. So whenever I made that transition, it really wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. It's just a different process of getting shades and the right coloration. But I love it because you get to play with textures and just how vivid the colors can be when you're using oils. But this is the ones I did in prison. I actually broke rules and stuff, and people gave me things and might have stole something. I don't know. But yeah, it was pretty cool because all my friends I'd done time with over the years all contributed to my art supplies. Because I've been telling them for years, hey, when I get out, dude, I'm doing this stuff, And so they were like, okay, smart Alec, here's the art supplies you want. Get to work. And they sat and watched me in the day room and got laughs out of some of them. And it was pretty interesting how it all came about, now how it's progressed. Any more questions?
What brought you to Iowa City?
Oh, well, I was out for a month in 1999. I was incarcerated in Texas. And everybody knows Texas is crazy. And the prison systems they're the epitome of Texas, I guess. But yeah, when I got out, I was pretty insane, and I went on a robbery spree. I stole a truck and a gun, and just I was out of it. And I actually got caught in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, but I robbed the Radio Shack in Coralville. And it was, nobody got hurt. It was just kind of a mental patient on a rampage, I guess. But, yeah, I mean, the time that I spent in Iowa working in the Braille shop and training service dogs and doing all those things and, just trying to better myself in a lot of different ways. That probably wouldn't have been available in somewhere like Texas where it's just pure chaos every single day. I guess I don't know if you call it luck, but I was lucky to be somewhere where I didn't have to be a convict 24 hours a day. The lunar eclipse reminded me of the lunar bouquet of Ra, and whenever I saw it, I was enchanted by the fact that there may be these people, 3,000 years ago that sat there and looked at it and saw it as if it were a sail of a ship, and how it must have been before knowing any technology that we know today, about how cool it must have been to be staring at that thing and just having these visions of these beings using it for a sail to look over their domain, and how it must have been to be sitting there looking and trying to see something there, like an enchanted child or something. So that night, while I was watching that and then seeing something that hadn't made sense to me make sense finally, because it was going in the right direction. that was a really special night, and that's why I was compelled to go over there and paint that picture. This one here. Yeah. It was done the night of the super flower blood moon lunar eclipse.
Hi, I'm Dan Alcondel. I'm a musician. I'm kind of used to the stage, but I'm not really used to speaking in front of crowds of people. So I'm told if I get nervous or like lose my words or something, you guys are just supposed to picture me naked. I do ink drawings. Where I was at, you couldn't get large paper, so these are all, like, this is 4 pieces of 8 by 8.5 by 11 sheets, all in one. And, I try to draw real life things, mostly. Obviously the dragons aren't, but this dog, for instance, belongs to somebody from Inside Out. It's, I take a picture and then I draw it in ink, and then I just recently started doing colors. So this I did in black and white. This is my parents. It's an old picture of them, and another reason I like drawing in this side is because I have 8 siblings, and I photocopied them and sent them out to them for Christmas. So that was pretty cool. This was just a whim. One of my favorite bands is Imagine Dragons, so Imagine Dragons. That's what it probably was like way back in the day, you never know. I took liberties with Eric Clapton. That's my hand and my guitar. I put myself on stage with him. So, I really enjoy doing this one. This is a picture of, it's a real ball python snake that somebody has for a pet. And she's a law student, and I really enjoyed the fact that she named the snake Your Honor. So yeah, I like drawing that one. I only started drawing like 3 years ago, and this is about the time I met Rich from Inside Out. He came to Mount Pleasant during a job fair, and I've been in contact with them ever since, between Michelle and, now Neil and the whole crew. And while I was there, I drew this for him and sent it to him. You notice I put the Inside Out re-entry up here. I mean, it's just really a cool program. It gave me an incentive to come to Iowa City. I actually fell out of Des Moines. But it's a community. And I'm really excited about my life right now. I got a good job. I just made top performer of the last quarter of 22, and I work for a nationwide company. Like I said, I'm a musician, so the music scene around here is awesome. My parents live in Fairfax, about 25 minutes away, so close to them, get to help them, see them a lot now, and life's going pretty good. But this ink drawing here, I've done several of them, but it gives me a view of the world and a view of attitudes. For instance, up here we got Eve holding the apple and the evil asp there, but the American eagle's eating the snake. So I try to put a little twist on things that I do. This clock right here that I made in an airplane. The prison commissary sells clocks for like $8, something like that. Alarm clocks, wind-up alarm clocks. One day I dropped mine, and springs and cogs all over the floor. And I got myself a pair of tweezers and fingernail clippers, and I worked on that thing for 3 days, but I got it working. It still works this day. So hence the airplane clock, and I put that in a lot of my drawings. Okay, I lost my words. Picture me naked.
With a guitar.
I really like drawing an ink pen, you do it once, you have to be precise, and fortunately in all of my life endeavors, being an auto technician or a musician, whatever, God blessed me with really good teachers. And the guy that is doing a life sentence that I saw do ink drawings was my cellie. And I was just amazed he would do it one dot at a time. I don't have that much patience. I do lines. It's maybe as I get older, I'll get more patient and do the dot drawings because they really are intricate. Kind of like this gentleman's here. A lot more detail. So, any questions?
When you're making like this piece here with so many different elements, do you kind of have it all in mind when you start, or do you kind of like figure it out as you go?
Just as I go.
Yeah. It's really neat to look at it because I notice more and more details that really draws me into it.
Takes you different places, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
I kind of like to, I got these 3 kittens staring into a pool, look at their reflection, and they're lions when they look back.
Yeah, I saw that. Oh.
And it kind of got me out of my prison situation because I was, I was there. I was at the Eiffel Tower when I was drawing, and I was at the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and being a musician, I always wanted to play this place in Australia. That's got to be an acoustical phenomenon. And then, of course, we got the Stairway to Heaven.
Did you look at those images, like photographs when you were drawing, or were you just drawing from memory?
I'm sorry, I'm already here.
Were you just drawing from memory, or for looking at an image of the Eiffel Tower?
Well, like with the clock, for instance, I said in front of me, and I can take a picture and copy it exactly. I think it's from being an auto tech. You look at a bolt, and I can look at it and say, hey, that's 13 millimeter, pick up a wrench and it fits. So I mean, I kind of applied that to my art. And, I guess no real denying, everybody sees that, the nose there is flat, the nose is him. So I'm getting pretty close with my hand anyway, I think.
How did you come up with the technique of the 4 pieces of paper?
The prison stopped selling the big sheets.
Necessity.
Yeah, necessity, exactly.
Does it create any unique challenges to do it that way?
Yeah, I had to figure out how to snag an illegal cardboard box somewhere so to make a backing plate so I could, and then you can't have tape either. It's like, or at least you can't have the guards tape, but I was the unit representative, so he would slip me some every now and then. You had to be a certain amount of jailhouse ingenuity to get to it. But I guess it turns you into whatever it takes kind of guy. As far as the portraits, I thought about this on the way here this morning. How artists whose art is selling for millions of dollars now, most of them were broke all their life. And somebody asked me at work, I was telling them about having this art show, and they said, well, I hope you sell some art. I'm like, it's not about money, it's not about selling anything, and I wouldn't sell it anyway, because it's a spiritual thing. It's, like portraits, I'll have somebody ask me to do one. It's like, they take forever, Give me a couple $100 and they'll do it, but, it takes the fun out of it. Once you start doing it commercially or something like that, I just want to be known as an artist, not go see Dapper Dan for, to pay for something, And which brings me to the fact that this is a good venue here for guys that have done time in that. But it would be nice if I was just known as an artist, you know, not a prison artist. You know, and that's what I'm striving for right now. It's like, I don't want to be defined by me doing time. You know, I could go through the whole, my case, you know, I did a sentencing statement, 18 pages long in that, and my case is in the Iowa Supreme Court right now, and I'm hoping to be exonerated, but I'm not trying to say I'm an angel, but I'm thanking God right now for this platform, for Inside Out, for the Artifactory, to give me an opportunity to show that I'm not the person society thinks I am. And there's a lot of guys in prison that don't belong there. And I'm just hoping we got a platform now. And please, just because the guy's done time before and he's sitting in a defendant's chair, don't believe everything everybody says about it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Harold. Thank you each and every one of you for coming today. Yeah, I grew up in the Des Moines area and I was arrested in 2003, got out in 2012 and came to the Iowa City area, actually Kelowna. There's a reason I go back to Des Moines. I visit my family, but there's a reason I don't live there. You know, and it was important to me to get away. I've been an artist since I can remember. Even as a child, I would draw. I am a life casting artist, as you can see. I know that in Des Moines area, there's a lot of life casting artists, but I've yet to meet another one in the Iowa City area, which I'm sure there is. Some, but just a little brief thing about what life casting is. It's gauze that's impregnated with plaster, and you cut them into strips. You use a mold release, either tincture of green soap or Vaseline works, and you can do faces and hands and even entire body casts. And if you're interested in learning more about life casting, I would recommend you to Google George Segal. He was the artist back in the 50s and 60s who made live casting popular. And I think that's one reason why there's live casting is popular in Des Moines, is they have two of his original pieces. So yes, I'm a live casting artist and I'm always looking for people who want to get plastered. This poem here, Rhythms and Rhymes, is a poem that I wrote probably 30 years ago, and it kind of deals with mental illness that I struggle with. Rhythms and rhymes dance uncontrollably across the subconscious horizons of my mind. Each new horizon is a splendid place where pain and delusions rule, and hope and happiness are the knights in shining armor, seeking to destroy the dragons of bitterness and hate. Rhythms and rhymes dance uncontrollably across the subconscious horizons of my mind. This one here is called Psych Ward. October 21. I spent 2 weeks in the psych ward here in Iowa City due to a brain infection. This is all glow in the dark, so is the face on here. The moon is glow in the dark, the windows are, you can see there's one window that's got the light on, that's me. When I first made this picture, I didn't like it, because it's not typical to what I typically do. But now I think it's one of my best pieces. Any questions?
Harold, can you talk more about why you didn't like it and so forth?
Well, because I kind of pigeonholed myself as a live casting artist, and 90% of what I do is live casting artist. Now, when I was in prison, I drew. I did a lot of drawing, because when I was in prison, between 2003 and 2012, you wasn't allowed to get the painting supplies that they recently was allowed to, and now they've taken that away from them. This is a friend of mine, Richard, and he talks about here them losing their art supplies. But when I was in prison, they didn't have, you could get colored pencils, and some of the guys would take Skittles and shave off the color from the Skittles and make watercolor paintings with Skittles. But it's back to why it's just, I don't know, I just didn't like it, but now I think it's one of my best pieces.
What else do you do with the life casting? I mean, do you combine them with paintings like that one? Is that typical?
Yes, this is typical, and the word collages is typical. I've got one that's two faces of me. I've done several evolutions of that. You got the word collage of the inside face and the outside face, the things that we present to people, and then the things we hide on the inside. I have another piece that's quite large. It's 3 foot by 4 foot. I do faces, I do hands. Most of my work that I do now is on forms, but I have done with live models before. I can do both. Like I said, I'm always looking for somebody who wants to get plastered. Yes. And like I said, I wrote this poem about 30 years ago, and it's been in different evolutions, different poems. This is the first time that it was in an art piece. Any other questions?
What's it involved to get plastered?
You start with you use a mold release. Do you have it's either tincture of green soap or Vaseline. Use the plaster bandages, cut into pieces, put in warm water, smooth on. You do 2 or 3 coats. You pull that off, and it hardens up fairly quickly. And then in 24 hours, it can be painted. Yes. Like I said, you can do hands, faces, entire body casts. Yes. Like I said, check out George Segal. He was the artist that made it popular. And he did full life-size body casts and put them in everyday situations. And that's what he was famous for.
Would you read the little thing there about Richard Weinmiller?
Yes. This art piece is done by Richard Weinmiller. He painted it while incarcerated. And it may be the last painting he is able to create because the prison is no longer allowing the possession of painting materials. Mr. Weinmiller is serving a life sentence, and he has been in prison for 35 years. Despite incredible rehabilitation and support of his original sentencing judge and investigating sheriff, the governor denied his request for executive clemency. Mr. Weinmiller spends his days volunteering in the IMCC hospice facility, helping his friends who are dying behind bars. He too is dying from retinal failure. His community is at loss without him in it. It's like I said, Richard is a friend of mine.
Let's have a hand for Richard.